Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 123 of CPG Vibes. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, there is no one to my left over here. Wade Yenny, my co-host, is traveling right now. So it's kind of an interesting turn of events where last week I was not on because I was feeling under the weather and had a headache and all that. Hopefully not COVID. And this week he's not here. So definitely no script, just chat. Very unpredictable. And that's the way we like it, to keep everyone, on their heels with just surprises. It's also cool because to run a show on your own and there's no one to bounce things off of. It's like a monologue. It's very difficult. So this is going to be a true test of my skill set on running a podcast. But we do have a guest today, right? So we have Jason Feifer. He is the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media, which is also entrepreneur.com and Entrepreneur Magazine. So we're going to bring him on in about 5 minutes or so. He does have a hard stop at the 35 mark. So this is going to be a shortened episode, and hopefully don't want to jinx it, but internet connection stuff, a lot of bandwidth being used around me. So hopefully this broadcast is nice and clear. So a couple things we're going to go through, just a laundry list of items, as we are the #1 rated CPG podcast in North America. If you'd like to be a sponsor, and again, I'm doing all this on my side. If you'd like to be a sponsor, make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And we have sponsorship block rates. If you do more than one, we have discounts on your first sponsorship, which is $350. We'll mention you not once, not twice, but 3 times, beginning, middle, and end of the episode with your product or service. And we want to work with you and make sure that you're getting great results by sponsoring our episode. We also have our Slack channel, which is cpgvibes.slack.com. And then we have our ongoing sponsors, which is Range Me and V Driven. And a little bit about Range Me. And again, I'm just going to go through the sponsorships, talk about our great partners that we have here at CPG Vibes, and we're going to roll right into bringing our guest on without really wasting any more time, because I don't want to waste your time, right? I wouldn't be a good host if I wasted your time. So with Range Me, a little bit about them. Range Me helps brands drive awareness and engagement with retailers through an easy-to-use platform that has more than 15,000 buyers. Listeners can get discounts on Range Me Premium, the bottom right corner, the QR code right there. Scan that with your phone. You can go to a landing page, and they have premium and pro subscriptions there. So make sure to reach out, and their website, the landing page is rangeme.com/CPG Vibes. And I'm going to also shout out some comments here. So don't think I'm going to forget about you guys because of how many gadgets and buttons I have to hit being on my own for this episode. So the other ongoing sponsor is V Driven. Make sure to mention CPG Vibes for a discount, both with Range Me and V Driven. So you can go to vdriven.com/schedule-a-call, or just go to vdriven.com, or just message Luke Abbott over LinkedIn. And they are a leading consulting and brand management firm specializing in strategic guidance and brand representation for emerging and mid-sized CPG brands. They are offering services from direct sales to key retailers, CPG for brands to achieve their full ongoing sponsors. And then we also have our sponsor for this episode, and that is Simply Depot. And Simply Depot, simply put, they are improving efficiency for your field sales reps. So if you have field sales reps going out there selling your brand, your food, your beverage company, They're here to help. It's a super sales and merchandising platform designed to help emerging brands with independent stores. Their technology helps you find potential customers, digitizes all ordering and merchandising activities, and it's all the stores insights you need to scale your business. To learn more, email info@simplydepot.com, and I will put that into the chat. And I have to do that literally on my own here. Let me do that. Again, I don't have the help of Wade here, so I will go ahead and handle that. And there it is. Couple shout outs, and then we're going to bring Jason right on here to talk about his experience being editor in chief at Entrepreneur Media. And then also they have a community called CPGFastTrack. So this is really cool, where they help out CPG founders, owners, VP of salespeople. You can hop on his community. They have experienced CPG veterans that are there that you can leverage. It's pretty amazing. So he's going into verticals under CPG, and he has experts like Lisa Barnett, that's a CPG veteran, to help you scale your brand. So we'll talk more about that. Goatee looks good. Thank you, Waleed. I appreciate that. I grew it myself. All right. So a couple shout outs here. We got Joe Turnowski. Love build for tomorrow. This is to, hey, Jason Feifer. Tomorrow, awesome read. Looking forward to your conversation with Alex. Happy Friday from Kenny. Joseph, I'm going to pretend to know how to pronounce your last name. Camarari. Did I get that right? Sounds like Ferrari almost. Listening from the car, from your Ferrari, right? We got Robert Kogan from PFE, one of our premier sponsors, tuning in mobile car. Gavin Conkle, Kenny Hausman, Allison Clay. We got all of our regulars here. And we have Waleed over here with the goatee comment. And then we have Brad Champion. So everyone's here. All right. So without further ado, I went through that really, really quickly, hopefully efficiently. I'm going to put on some really cool kind of happening music for this gentleman here. Sounds pretty cool. I like it. All right. So we have the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media with Jason. Bring him on right now. Jason, how are you?
I am well. Great to be here. Alex, thanks for having me. Congratulations on hosting the show by yourself. I think you're doing a great job. By the way, I have to say, for anyone who's interested in hosting media, I think the trend, like you think about podcasts are often guest driven. I actually think that the trend is moving away from guests. And the reason for that is because listeners, the reason they return to a podcast is because they develop a relationship with the host. But when the host is interviewing someone, you actually get the least amount of the host. And so I'm seeing a lot of podcasts shift towards either just the two co-hosts talking or just one co-host monologuing, and those performing really, really well. So I say, if you have a voice and you have an audience, then lean into that and give the people what they want. Although I'm happy to steal some of your airtime here today, right now, Alex. Also, I would say thank you to Joseph, who read my book. And also thank you to Joseph, who's in the car. Please drive safely. I'm very happy to be here.
Definitely. And we're breaking the mold, right? Because usually it's actually funny you're bringing this up, Jason, is we have been, when we first started this podcast, it was just me and Wade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we started getting momentum. And then we're like, let's bring on a guest almost every single week. And then and it was great to have these guests on. They shared a lot of great insights, and we love interviewing them and finding out about their story. But we realized as we did guests every week, it kind of gravitated away of the roots and the foundation of the show. So we pivoted away from that back to special edition episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then half our shows is just me and Wade bantering and making fun of each other and talking shit. But for someone like yourself, not to flatter you, which I already have, I just thought, I was very compelled from reading your posts, seeing on LinkedIn that, you know what, we haven't brought on a single guest in a while. Let's bring him on.
Oh, well, I'm honored.
Yeah. So we're breaking that protocol for you here, and for good reason. So tell us, because you have a wedding to go to, not your own wedding, right? It's someone else's wedding.
No, not my own wedding. That would be pretty epic if I was joining it. Yeah, that's the reason that I can't be here with you guys longer. I'm really sorry, but I have a cousin's wedding to get to. And just before we started recording this, my wife took a look at how long it's going to take to get to that wedding, and it's a lot longer than I thought. So so I have to run out of here early.
Totally. On a Friday afternoon, no less, which is the worst traffic of all. And you're in, and you're in New York. So, so let's get to some questions here, and we're just going to blast through this and make sure we get all the info and we hear your story. So, and we'll talk about CPGFastTrack as well. So tell us your background, kind of the elevator pitch up the Empire State Building, so kind of a longer elevator pitch about how you started with Entrepreneur Media, how you found them, what you guys do and how you're really empowering entrepreneurs every day with
Oh,
your
sure.
media.
Well, look, I'm excited to serve the CPG audience here, so I'll make it brief on Entrepreneur. So, what does it mean to be the editor in chief of Entrepreneur Magazine? Work at Entrepreneur Media. Honestly, what it means is that I have the great fortune of being able to spend my time talking to and learning from incredible entrepreneurs. I've been the editor in chief since 2016. My background is in media. I had worked at a number of national media outlets before coming over to Entrepreneur. But Entrepreneur, frankly, transformed me. It turned me from a media person into someone who really, I've met so many entrepreneurs who said, I never meant to be an entrepreneur, but I had an idea and I got into it. And suddenly I was this other thing. And that's what happened to me too. I now have a media company. I launch things like CPGFastTrack, which we'll talk about. And I'll tell you the number one thing that I learned, the difference between going from being not an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, is that I think that it's the difference between what I think of as horizontal and vertical thinking. So horizontal thinking is I'm going to do something, I'm going to put it out in the world, and then I'm going to move along. And then I'm going to do a thing, and I'm going to move along. And then I'm going to do a thing, and I'm going to move along. Entrepreneurs don't think like that. It's a rare, different way of thinking, which is that entrepreneurs think vertically. They think the only reason to do something is because it is the foundation upon which the next thing will be built. And so I see entrepreneurs act in this incredible purpose-driven way where they think about how investing time and energy in one thing should lead to something else. And even if you don't know what that thing is, you're at least being cognizant of how you're putting yourself in positions to develop new opportunities in the future. That's why I call my book Build for Tomorrow. It's about spending time now thinking about how the opportunities of today create the opportunities of tomorrow.
It makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. And I think I like how, you know, entrepreneurs are just a special breed. We think
Yeah.
differently. You know, when someone looks at a certain thing, they see it differently as an opportunity. And it's cool that, there's a community, right? And that's really what entrepreneur media is all about, is a
Yeah.
community where entrepreneurs can go and be like, yeah, they get me, they get what I'm doing. And you're kind of catering it, right, for what they're looking for to help them grow their business and grow personally as well. Cause it's hard to be an entrepreneur, and so having more resources, the more resources, the better. And to know that you're really not alone in this journey, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And a big breakthrough moment for me when I came to Entrepreneur was to recognize the opportunity with a psychographic instead of just a demographic, which I think is so important for so many entrepreneurs. What I came to realize for Entrepreneur was that in a time in which the word entrepreneur has come to mean many things to many people, right? You've got kids selling things on eBay, and you've got venture-backed Silicon Valley founders who are all calling themselves entrepreneurs. What is the thing that they all have in common? The answer I realized was that the thing they all have in common is the emotional experience of being an entrepreneur, of problem solving your way through walls, of slamming into walls, of constantly having to reinvent yourself. That is something everybody feels regardless of what stage you're at. And I realized we at Entrepreneur Media had an incredible opportunity to speak to that group instead of thinking of ourselves as, oh, we're just for a certain audience at a certain stage of growth. To know, think about who are you reaching based on the emotional attachment to the subject. And I think, frankly, for CPG, you have to be thinking similar. Oftentimes, founders enter in with some kind of thesis. I talk to founders who are like, well, I'm a busy mom and I thought that I need to make a product for busy moms. But eventually you start to realize that in the brand storytelling that you're doing and in the positioning that you have, you're able to identify a psychographic who you can market to. And if you can really get them and relate to them and be their hero, then they keep coming back for more.
That makes sense. You really have to dig in to fully understand who your audience is, because it all starts with the audience. And I think
Yeah.
the mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make, including myself, I've made this, is you're making a product that you fall in love with. This will be amazing for the market, but you have to also make sure that there's a need for this in the market, or at least that if you're inventing something that really hasn't been done to its full effect, that the
Yeah.
market would actually embrace it. And like, there's obviously the quotes by, like Henry Ford, which is, hey, if I asked people what they wanted, they would say a faster horse. But
Right.
in his thinking, right, as the grandfather entrepreneur, that he knew that if I create this, people will come. And so I feel like there's kind of a gut aspect to being an entrepreneur, right? To knowing what people will want. right?
Yeah, although there's actually a really interesting nuance to that Henry Ford anecdote, which is worth sharing, which is that
Sure.
when I talked to a car historian, I love talking to historians because they teach you a lot about how technology and business evolve. I was talking to a car historian once, and she said, Henry Ford is often credited with the mass introduction of cars because, of course, he had made cars faster and cheaper and therefore more accessible. But she said he is actually the beneficiary of a change that came before him that really set him up for success. So let me tell you that, because what it really is an important lesson in how to introduce new things to people, which
Mm,
oftentimes is what CPG founders are in the business of doing. So when the car first came out, like the earliest cars, long before Henry Ford, the very earliest cars in the sort of late 1800s, people hated them. Right? They found them obnoxious. They called them the devil wagon. They threw rocks at them. They yelled, "Get a horse," from the side of the street, which is true. You can go back and find decades of "get a horse" in newspapers.
mm,
And the early car manufacturers realized that they had a problem. And they ultimately recognized what it was, which was that they were advertising the car as a replacement to the horse. They were saying, get rid of your horse, get rid of Dobbin, and get this car. And people don't like that. People found that offensive because they liked their horse. And
mm.
their horse was a member of the family. And every generation, as far back as they knew, had horses. And so here's the thing that the car manufacturers had to realize: people don't like new things. But you know what they do like? They like better versions of old things. That's what they like. So the car manufacturers stopped advertising the car as a replacement to the horse and
Mhm.
started advertising the car as a better horse. And they started popularizing terms like horsepower. They started, which we still, of
Oh,
course, use today. They
right.
started to name cars after horses, which, of course, we still have today: Mustang and
Mustang, yeah.
Bronco and so on. And they started putting mechanical horse heads on the front of cars, which we don't do today, but you get the idea. And it's not like people are stupid. It's not like they're like, oh, well, I guess now it's a horse. No, no, no. They understand. But what they're hearing is they're hearing a industry say, I understand you. I understand where your comforts are, where your familiarities are. I understand what you need, and let me show you how this new innovation fits into your lives in the same way that your horse does, which frankly was something people didn't exactly understand. What's a car for? And that was the thing that initially drove cultural adoption of the car. I call this the bridge of familiarity. I think that what everybody needs to understand when you're introducing something new to a market is that you cannot start with you. You can't start with your great idea and with your great innovation. You have to start in the language that you use and in the marketing and in the way that you relate to people. You have to start with what they are comfortable and familiar with and what they actually already know they want. And then you build a bridge that doesn't go from you to them, but goes from them to you. And that's the bridge of familiarity.
I love that. It's such a great story and rings and it resonates with me a lot. So, I love that story. I didn't know that part of it. And there's someone that actually commented here, is Waleed, Nasruddin. I'm going to start yelling that when someone cuts me off, "Get a
Get a
horse."
horse. Yeah. Well, you would join a long line of people who did.
Yeah, exactly. And then, Robert Kogan, also just a comment from our community here. 1997, he's with Powerful Energy. He distributes in Canada.
Hmm.
He's one of the leading distributors for natural products in Toronto and or surrounding Toronto. And
Oh.
it's funny, he calls it the horseshoe. That's literally what he calls it around Toronto. So playing on the whole horse theme here.
Yeah.
He's been reading Entrepreneur Magazine, regular subscriber, learned what investment banker meant. Anyone raising capital, debt capital, equity, debt capital. I found out I was a minor league investment banker reading the magazine 3 decades ago. So
Oh,
very
that's
cool.
hilarious. Thanks
Yes.
for sharing that, Robert.
Yeah. So it goes back for sure. The other thing I mean, we can get off topic and that's what we do on this show because there's no script, just chat is, my wife worked at Toyota
Mhm.
and I really love what they did with the hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Where they kind of bridged the familiarity of gas, but then introduced electric. And back in like, if you've seen the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car, right? In the mid 90s, they went full electric and it
Mhm.
was too much too soon and too radical. Plus the designs didn't really look great. I mean, whole other subject line
Yeah.
to talk about, but it failed, for many reasons. And then Toyota came in the early 2000s with a car that looks semi-normal, but bridged the gap, I call it,
Mm-hmm.
between gas and electric with a hybrid, which eventually led the way and paved the way for Elon to go with full electric when people were embracing it more. So I think people like an evolution versus a revolution. I think that's what we're getting at here, where it needs to have some kind of familiarity, but still be different enough to be unique and offer something new to the consumer.
Yeah,
So,
it needs to be an improvement upon the solutions that they already know that they want. I mean, a good example of this in the CPG space was I was talking to a guy named Jason. I'm blanking on his last name right now, but he's the founder of Wild brand chips or
oh
Wild
yeah,
snacks.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
and Jason Wright. And you know, the original thing that he took to market was called chicken chips. So he had this bags of he had found a food science lab that could take chicken and process it into something that was a sort of crunched and felt like a potato chip. And he called them chicken chips, big on the bag in the front, chicken chips, and got Whole Foods to pick it up. And when people sampled it, when he was doing samples, they sampled it, they liked the product and they bought it. But when he wasn't there doing samples, nobody bought it. And he couldn't figure out what the problem was until he stood around watching people interact with his brand. And they would look at the words chicken chips and they would make a face because, of course, the phrase chicken chips sounds disgusting. And so he went and talked to his customers, understood where their entry point was for this, and came up with totally new packaging that called it protein chips, not chicken
Hmm.
chips, protein chips. So smart because people are already familiar with protein bars and protein shakes, and there's already an audience for protein blank. And then once you hook them and show them how this fits into their lives, then you can have a conversation about where the protein comes from. It comes from chicken. He's got a great story to tell. And that change by itself, not changing the product, but just changing the packaging and the pitch, that unlocked growth for that company. That again is the bridge of familiarity.
Exactly. Not to one up at all here, but I gotta mention one more that my friend just told me
Sure.
yesterday. You got to hear this one. Maybe you're already aware of it. But what was the original name for the Chilean sea bass? Do you know?
Oh, I've heard this, but I don't remember. What was it?
So it was the Patagonian toothfish.
Right.
So that was the original name for this fish. And in the 70s, 80s, they always called it the Patagonian toothfish. And they tried to sell it at fish markets. No one wanted to buy it. It just had a weird name. It was
Yeah.
kind of foreign to them, not
Hmm.
like tuna, not like, catfish. And the fish also looks a little bizarre, especially the face. Hence the name, right? So
Toothfish. Yeah.
yeah, toothfish. It's a weird name. Am I eating teeth or am I eating fish, right? And just weird, off-putting. And so in the 90s, they just change the name, just like what you're talking about,
Yeah.
from protein, to protein chips. They changed it to the Chilean sea bass, remarketed it, repackaged it, put it out in Costco, put it out in Asian grocery stores as well. And then here we are today. So it's funny that, the consumer perception, you can have the same damn product, same taste, same texture, same source, but literally change the name and the colors and it becomes a big
Yeah.
seller. So it's
And now
the
and then not to belabor this any longer, but I'll say and then
we
just
already
start
are.
applying it just start applying that beyond name and branding into packaging as well. I
Right.
mean, I just talked to a guy who was in the energy drink market trying to differentiate themselves in glass. And
Mhm.
when he went to aluminum, which he thought was going to make him too common, it actually was the thing that unlocked growth because now it's signaled to the consumer exactly what he was. So anyway, there's a lot to
100%.
share there. Yeah.
100%. So I think we can have a part 2 here. So just to take a pause here, for those that are just tuning in, I know you have 8 minutes left, so we're gonna wedge in a lot and within those 8 minutes, so you can get
Sure.
to the wedding. Not his wedding, but a cousin's
Nope.
wedding. So, that'd be funny if you dress like that to your own wedding. Entrepreneur. Our sponsor for this episode is Simply Depot, and they are basically an app and a software that is really creating efficiency for sales reps, and merchandisers in the field when you're selling and merchandising your product. So it's a one-stop shop. The platform is designed to help emerging brands with independent stores, or technology helps you find potential customers. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, we are missing Wade for this episode. He is traveling right now to Houston, I believe. for some work with his company that he just joined, V-Driven, which is one of our sponsors here. And so we have almost act basically like he's a co-host, right, for this episode, honorary co-host. We have Jason Feifer, the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media, which runs Entrepreneur Magazine and Entrepreneur.com. And we're going to get back to our subject. And he's also going to talk about CPG Fast Track. Our other two ongoing sponsors is Range Me, bottom right corner, the QR code there. They have a premium and pro subscription. You can submit your brand, ready for this, Jason, to 15,000 buyers, up to 15,000 category managers and buyers on Range Me. Obviously, you want to pick and choose what your best go-to-market strategy is and who you want to approach, but there's 15,000, the library, 15,000 buyers and category managers on Range Me. And then we also have V-Driven. And V-Driven, in my own words, is really just an agency, very boutique-y, that looks at building CPG brands through sales assistance, through CPG accounting, and through fighting trade spend, which we all know and love. So getting back to it, talk to us in the time we have here. And by the way, everyone, this episode is going to be ending early at right around the 40 to 45 mark, because I will run out of things to talk about once Jason has to go. CPG Fast Track. Tell us just about it, the service. I know you are you co-creator and also kind of
I'm a co-founder of it. So I'll tell you a quick story, which is that my pal Dave, who runs O2, which is a hydration fitness recovery drink. O2 is fantastic, and he's just grown that tremendously. Anyway, so Dave was having a conversation with his friend Marcus, who's part of the founding team of Four Sigmatic, pioneers in the mushroom and adaptogenic space. And so they were talking about how they had learned so much in their years in CPG. And wouldn't it be great to share those lessons with founders at an earlier stage in some way? And Dave asked if I would like to be a part of that. And I said, yeah, I think you should talk to my pal Matt, who's the CEO of Smart Passive Income, because that guy really understands community and how to organize people and how to make sure that they're engaged and that they're getting a lot out of the experience. Smart Passive Income is a fantastic online community for e-com founders. So the four of us start talking, me, Dave, Matt, and Marcus, and we realized we need a fifth person. We need someone who has a lot of experience in fundraising, who's a woman, because we have four dudes, and who brings in incredible operations experience and leadership and marketing experience. And I had been recently chatting with my friend Lisa Barnett, who was a co-founder and president of Little Spoon. She had raised $90 million for that company. Told her what she was up to. She said, that sounds fantastic, because she's building her next phase right now. The five of us create CPG Fast Track. CPG Fast Track is designed to be a one-stop group coaching, expand your network, expand your Rolodex kind of solution for early stage founders. What we're doing is we're finding people in the $250,000 to $1 million revenue range who are starting to hit some of those big early challenges in building a CPG brand, who aren't as well networked as they wish, who don't have the time, don't have a big team to figure out these problems. And we're offering them a chance to come in cohorts, in small cohorts, 10 to 20 people per cohort, where we're going to offer ongoing group coaching. This is not an accelerator. We take absolutely no equity. We want this to be as friendly to founders as possible, where each week there are going to be multiple opportunities to connect with each other and with Dave, Lisa, and Marcus, who have been there, done that, and our entire network of experts in this space who we're going to be bringing in to help and just try to bridge that gap. I'm talking to so many incredible founders. I'll tell you about one who is a guy who's building a indie soda brand in San Antonio right now. And he comes from the marketing background, and he says to me, the frustrating thing is when as a marketer, he thought, all I have to do is build a great looking and great tasting brand that connects with people, and the rest will take care of itself. But of course, that's not the case at all. Right now, what he's got a problem with is that he's got a lot of great orders and shelf space, and he doesn't have the money to fulfill those orders. And he can't figure out he's like, I built a thing people want. Why is this not easier? Mm-hmm. Welcome to CPG. So this is exactly the reason that we built this kind of thing. Come in. We know that there are giant, noisy communities out there, and we know that there are small, incredibly expensive communities where everyone's went does ayahuasca on a beach and it's a social club. And we don't want any of that. What we want to do is create something that's just genuinely useful. So that's CPG Fast Track. And if anyone's interested, cpgfasttrack.com, or you can just reach out to me directly.
Cool. And we have it displayed on there. And also I put it into the chat.
Appreciate that.
You can copy and paste that into your browser. But no, sounds great. I mean, when I started, and I have to go in 2-3 minutes here, or your wife may leave without you.
Oh, she already left.
She already left.
Well, you were talking a minute ago. She popped her head in and waved at me and left. So yeah, she's going to be ahead of me. That's okay.
Okay, you just have to catch up with her and go 90 miles an hour on the expressway.
Well, it's in New York, so it's subway. So I'll just catch the next subway. It's fine.
There you go. I'm thinking LA here, not New York. I'm like, there's public transportation I can actually take. Wow,
it can. It's noisy and messy, but it works.
What a concept. It's like so foreign in LA to a lot of people. So when I started Genius Juice, 10 years ago, we just didn't have these resources.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have CPG Fast Track. We didn't have Startup CPG. We didn't have CPG Vibes and all these other great services that people are offering, let alone podcasts where we talk about CPG, BevNet, Taste Radio, all this stuff. So I just want to say, simply put, it's great that there are these resources where an entrepreneur that has no idea what to do or how to scale their business can literally Google it, go on there and find a community like CPG Fast Track and and some other ones where you can talk to veterans that have been there, done that, and not only learn what to do, but also what not to do. Like pitfalls to avoid in this industry, like going too far too soon, or going to a distributor that's going to charge you a bunch of chargebacks and you're not going to make enough margin to keep yourself in business, or funding options, lending options, packaging options. So your program is exactly in line with that, which is just a resource to really help steer you in the right direction. So I want to pivot it to a couple things because you have to go in 1 minute.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, I mean, very attuned to the time here, because this is not like he's going to get a burger. He's going to a wedding. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So yeah, or he's not getting a New York pizza, right? In the parlance of New York. So tell us one thing that you are eating or drinking from your pantry that you are obsessed with, a product, and I'll go to mine and then we'll let you get out of here.
Okay, sounds great. Also, Allison had asked in the comments, is there a cost to participate? Yes, the answer is that for the founding members, we're recruiting for the founding member cohort right now. The price is $400 a month. And if you do not get, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate that. We want to make this reasonable and founder friendly. And if you don't get value out of this, if we're not helping you grow to far surpass earnings to afford this, then we'll just give you your money back. Again, we're not here to rip anybody off. We're here to help people grow. So anyway, so cpgfasttrack.com. So Alex, love your question. You told me to bring something to the recording. So I did. I'll hold it up to the camera here. This is CB's Nuts, number 2, their number 2 product, which is sea salt. It's peanut butter. I could have stood here and hawked a bunch of friends' products because I have a lot of friends with great products. But instead, I am genuinely showing you something that I just discovered one day in my local supermarket. And I eat a lot of peanut butter. And so I tried it out. And it is just that perfect mix of creamy and crunchy. I just think that they do it better than anyone else that I've tried. And so even though this thing is, what does this cost me? $9 a jar. I have been buying this, and I probably go through like one a week. I eat a lot of peanut butter. So this to me is a real testament to when that product is just really good, you will capture your audience and they will keep coming back.
Cool. I'll post the link for that. I'm going to talk about what I love, and then we'll get you out of here. So 2 items. First off is Lexington Bakes. Have you heard of this brand?
No.
Jason? They have the most delicious brownies, and he just repackaged them into a 2-ounce format. And so he sent me a 4-pack. I ordered it from the website. We have Cosmic Forest Cookie and Fleur de Sel Brownie, and it says on the top, no naughty ingredients. These are the most delicious, scrumptious, dense, clean. They use real Strauss Family Farm cream in each and every brownie. And these are $5.99 for one of these. So so Lex, and there's a go Lex here, Lex Evan. He is the CEO and founder of Lexington Bakes. And then last but not least, 30 seconds, I promise, Jason, we have, do you know Bobby? with Flav City? Do you know
I
that guy?
don't. No.
Yeah, so he's an influencer. He has, I think, at least over 1 million followers on Instagram. He has a
Wow.
thing called Bobby Approved,
Okay.
and he has an app where
Mm-hmm.
you download his app, and if you scan any barcode in any retail supermarket, it will spit out and tell you this is Bobby approved or this is not.
Ah.
So he has kind of the liquid IV, which I like liquid IV, but this is a cleaner version of it called electrolyte drink mix from Flav City. There's no natural flavors. There's literally real juice powder in each of these
Mm,
electrolyte packets. So
mm.
Flav City, Bobby approved. Make sure to check him out if you don't know him. Jason, so thank you so much for joining us. And again, for those that are just tuning in, hopefully you're not just tuning in, you've been here to listen to him and watch him. Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media. Enjoy the wedding, safe travels, and thanks again for joining us on CPG Vibes.
Oh, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being accommodating, Alex, with my crazy
Absolutely.
schedule.
No worries.
I'll just say one more time, if anyone wants to get a hold of me for anything, well, you just DM me on LinkedIn is a great way to just connect with me. But CPG Fast Track is the place to go if you want to explore that. And we have been doing, if you go to the website and you're interested and you want to learn more, me, Marcus, Dave, Lisa, Matt, we've just been hopping on calls with founders to just talk them through the product. So we'd be very happy to do that. Just reach out. And anyway, I'm going to go to a cousin's wedding. Alex, I'll leave it to you to take it home.
Awesome. Thanks again. Take care,
Thanks.
Jason. Bye. All right. So that is episode 123. We're going to talk about also our sponsors here. And by the way, I think what I'm going to do, I feel really good today, and not because I'm hosting it on my own. I was a little nervous in the beginning, but because this has been a really damn good week. Not counting the debate yesterday. I really didn't enjoy that, not to bring politics into this, but it's been a really good week, feeling all the love and the vibes and everything from LinkedIn, all the people that are surrounding me that are just really caring for me and the entire CPG community. I love you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer a case of Lexington Bakes, continental US, and not including Hawaii or Alaska. And I will order it for you on Lex's website. It's redesigned, repackaged, brand new, 2-ounce bars. They're the most delicious brownie bars I have ever tasted in my life, bar none. They are amazing. So I'm going to ask a question, but before I do, talk about a couple sponsors. And this is worth about $30. And again, I'll order it for you and I'll have it sent directly to your house and we will pay for it here from CPG Vibes, but secretly I'm the one paying for it, right? So our sponsors for this episode, again, is Simply Depot. You can go to simplydepot.com. That's SIMPLYDEPO, P as in Peter.com. And they are looking to improve efficiency of your field sales reps and have more transparency with merchandising and field sales reps that are going out there and selling your product. Their technology helps you find potential customers, digitizes all ordering and merchandising activities. Make sure to email info@simplydepot.com. And then we have our ongoing sponsors, and those are Range Me, QR code in the bottom right corner there. And they have a service where they connect brands with buyers, over 15,000 category managers and buyers on their platform. If you go to rangeme.com/CPG Vibes, you can get discounts on their premium and pro subscriptions. Make sure to head there. It's a great service. If you want to get your brand into stores, best way to do it by doing it online, getting meetings. And there's also eCRM through Joe Turnowski, which is part of the Range Me family. And we have also V-Driven. And V-Driven is essentially a consulting and brand management firm specializing in strategic guidance and brand representation. So, and then also make sure to give us 5 stars and all that good stuff. And that will help us maintain our spot as the #1 CPG podcast in basically the world at this point. All right. So we're going to go into a question here. And the hardest part is I have to come up with this question on my own. So I need to think of a question here to ask. I'm going to make it really, really simple. What was the product that Jason talked about that he loves? What's the name? What's the name of it? And then you'll win a Lexington Bake pack on the house delivered to you, not including Canada, not including Alaska, and not including Hawaii. So we'll let you answer that, and then we'll end early. Let's let the answers come in here. What was the product that Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media, who was just on as a guest and co-host, honestly, what product was he talking about that he loves? Jeannie Gregory got it. Boom. She's fast. So Jeannie, make sure to email CPGVibes100. Stumped. I was cooking while he spoke. No. All right. So CB Nuts is it. I was actually confusing it with another brand like called P2 Nuts, I believe. But it's CB Nuts. Jeannie Gregory got it. Email CPGVibes100@gmail.com. And there it is right there. And we will make sure to take care of you. And we'll be back next week. It's kind of getting back to normal, even though it's the day after July 4th. But we're going to be here. And Robert Kogan with Powerful Energy Distributors, he is our sponsor, and he may actually pop on again. We're going to call him and see if he wants to come on. Sometimes he has one of his brands that he carries comes on the show. So we'll check in with him. So that will be on July 5th. And then on July 12th, we have the Outside the Tank Volume 2 with, we have Super Coffee. We're going to have Beatbox on there. And we're also going to have Copper Cow Coffee. So we're going to have 3 brands on our next Outside the Tank, where we bring on Shark Tank brands that went on Shark Tank, and we hear about how they're doing now and where they are now, right? All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming. Apologize for some of the unexpected changes for today's show. And thank you again to Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media. Make sure to reach out to him or go to CPGFastTrack.com if you would like to find out more about what he offers. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week, Friday at noon, 3 o'clock Eastern. Bye.